Many who are destined for greater responsibilities in this world begin their journey in an environment that appears less than fortunate. Their childhood is marked not by smooth waters, but by turbulent currents. This is not mere coincidence. In the ancient wisdom of the I Ching, hardship is often heaven's first gift. The hexagram Kangwa, Kan, the abysmal, reminds us that deep water is dangerous, but also purifying. To walk through trials early is to forge inner steel. A flower in a greenhouse blooms quickly but withers at the first storm. A wild grass growing in wind and rain, however, sinks roots deep into the soil, learning to bend without breaking, learning to endure and grow strong. In human life, this same principle repeats. Many who later carry profound missions often tasted bitterness in youth. Some were born into poverty, where every grain of rice required effort. Some carried weak health and learned from pain the fragility and value of life. Some saw discord within their own families, witnessing arguments and estrangement, learning too early that human warmth can turn cold. To ordinary eyes, such experiences seem unfair, but the universe does not punish without reason, rather it trains through fire. Confucius once said, "Heaven is about to place great responsibility upon a man. It must first distress his mind, tire his sinews and bones, starve his body, and deprive him of what he wants." This is not cruelty but preparation. By stripping away comfort, heaven cultivates empathy, patience, and resilience. Those who know hunger will not waste food. Those who saw division will value harmony. Those who faced rejection will extend compassion to others. In Feng Shui, a house that has survived storms and floods is not weakened but seasoned. Its foundation proves itself through trial. Likewise, the human spirit grows by enduring shaking and imbalance. When one looks back, those wounds of childhood are not scars of misfortune but seals of heaven's education. Consider the teachings of Zheng Guofan, a man who rose from repeated failures in the imperial exams to become a pillar of his era. He believed adversity was heaven's classroom. Without difficulty, there is no chance to cultivate inner strength. The young who grow in ease often crumble at the first test of adulthood. Those who have tasted suffering already know the cycle: fall, rise, move forward. Thus, when someone wonders why their path seemed so thorny while others walked on flowers, they must remember, thorns sharpen awareness, flowers often lull to sleep. Every stone stumbled upon in childhood becomes a stepping stone toward wisdom. If a person can endure, their soul acquires depth. Their heart matures faster than their peers. Their compassion grows broader because they understand pain firsthand. The I Ching often emphasizes that all opposites coexist. Hardship conceals blessing. Blessing conceals hardship. In hexagram Fu Gua, P, standstill, stagnation eventually leads to renewal, for all cycles turn. What seems like punishment is in fact positioning, like a bow drawn back before release. So those chosen by destiny should not despise their bitter youth. They should see it as the forge where heaven refined them. The struggle is not random but tailored instruction. Every tear, every hunger, every sleepless night was heaven chiseling away weakness, revealing a core that can carry greater weight. The lesson is simple. Suffering is the first signpost of responsibility. Without early storms, there will be no strong oak. Without a heavy grindstone, the blade will not shine. To complain about hardship is to miss the message of heaven. To embrace it with gratitude is to prepare for destiny. Those who carry a special thread of destiny often feel within their heart a loneliness that words cannot erase. It is not the loneliness of having no friends, nor the emptiness of being left behind, but a deeper separation, as though one spirit walks on a different road from the crowd. Others may laugh, feast, chase after fleeting pleasures, while you find yourself uninterested in such pursuits. You may prefer silence, books, or contemplation. You may sit among friends yet feel detached, sensing a gap no casual talk can bridge. This is not a flaw. It is a sign of alignment with a higher resonance. In the I Ching, Qigua, La, fire, represents clarity and illumination. Fire burns bright, yet it often stands alone, separate from the darkness surrounding it. Such is the state of a soul that sees farther than its peers. When the masses are absorbed in triviality, you seek meaning. When others discuss gossip, you hunger for the truth of existence. This mismatch creates loneliness, but it is not isolation. It is clarity. Laozi once wrote, "The wise man is often alone, for his heart is not with the crowd." To be chosen by heaven is to hear a faint inner voice, whispering that your road differs from the rest. At times, this voice brings confusion. Am I strange? Why do I not enjoy what others enjoy? Yet the difference is not sickness, but awakening. A mind tuned to higher frequency naturally struggles to resonate with lower notes. This solitude should not be feared. Within it lies the chance to meet oneself. Just as a pond becomes clear only when undisturbed, the human heart reveals its true reflection in quietness. Zhuangzi spoke of sitting and forgetting, a practice where stillness dissolves illusions. Only in silence can you hear the true call of your soul. From the perspective of Feng Shui, a mountain peak stands solitary, apart from the rolling hills, yet it is that peak which captures the first light of dawn. In the same way, those who feel alone may in fact be positioned to receive insight first. The solitude is not rejection, but elevation. Karmically, loneliness is also protection. The soul is being guarded from wasting life in fruitless entanglements. It is being guided to seek deeper connections, not with many, but with the few who share the same resonance. The ancients called this finding one's knowing friend, a bond rarer than gold. Until then, the chosen soul must endure the sense of not belonging, because its belonging is elsewhere, in a circle of spirits still yet to be met. Therefore, when you feel alone in thought and outlook, remember, it is not exile, it is refinement. It sharpens your inner world, makes you listen to your conscience, teaches you to walk independently without leaning on the crowd. And one day, that same independence becomes the strength that allows you to guide others. Do not run from loneliness. Learn to treasure it. It is the temple where your spirit converses with heaven. It is the crucible where wisdom is born. For those destined to carry light, a period of walking alone is inevitable, because before you lead, you must first learn to stand apart. Another mark of those with a hidden mission is a heart of compassion that flows naturally, not cultivated through rules, but rising like a spring from within. When you see a stray animal shivering in the cold, you cannot help but stop, feed it, or stroke it gently. When you pass an old beggar with trembling hands, you instinctively give what little you have. When you hear of someone's misfortune, you feel as though the pain belongs also to you. These acts may appear small, but they reveal a core aligned with the Tao of heaven, for the universe itself rests upon the principle of benevolence. The I Ching teaches through Kun Gua, Kun, the receptive, that earth nurtures all things with equal patience. It does not ask which seed deserves to grow. It simply supports without preference. In the same way, a compassionate heart does not calculate gain or loss. It gives because giving is its nature. Some may say, "This person is too kind. They will suffer." But this reflects misunderstanding. True kindness is not weakness. It is a profound strength. Confucius said, "The benevolent man is invincible." Why? Because benevolence creates trust, and trust gathers allies. Kindness builds bridges where power builds walls. In Feng Shui, a house built with a wide courtyard invites light and wind freely, whereas a house walled in tightly suffocates its inhabitants. Compassion is like the open courtyard, allowing blessings to flow in. Moreover, karmic law reminds us that every act of compassion plants a seed. These seeds may not sprout immediately, but they are never lost. They grow quietly beneath the soil of destiny, later blossoming as opportunities, as support in times of need, as inexplicable good fortune. The ancient phrase, Hu de zai wu, great virtue carries all things, means precisely this. Only a heart of depth and compassion can bear the weight of heaven's blessings. Zheng Guofan once warned his disciples that without virtue, talent becomes a curse. Compassion is the root of virtue. A person with wealth but without kindness will eventually fall, for their fortune has no foundation. But a person with kindness, even in poverty, will draw unseen support, for heaven itself resonates with them. From a practical view, a compassionate person becomes the pillar of their family. Their children grow up observing selflessness and learn empathy by example. Their spouse feels secure in a relationship built on care rather than calculation. Their community naturally respects them, even if they hold no title, for sincerity cannot be faked. In business too, those who genuinely consider the welfare of others attract long-term partners. Profit without compassion is short-lived, but compassion creates sustainable prosperity. Thus, the compassionate heart is not merely a trait, it is a calling card of heaven. It connects the individual to the universe's fundamental vibration, love. When you extend your kindness beyond yourself, you tune into that great rhythm. As a result, you walk in harmony with heaven and earth. The rewards may not always be immediate, but they are certain. Therefore, if you find yourself sensitive to suffering, do not suppress it out of fear of being too soft. Treasure it. It is not weakness, it is alignment. It is not a flaw, it is a signpost. For a person chosen to carry greater tasks, compassion is the root from which wisdom, strength, and destiny will grow. Another trait of those touched by destiny is the presence of an unusually sharp intuition, a sense that events whisper their approach before they arrive. At times you may feel unease before leaving the house, only to encounter unexpected delays or accidents. At times you may meet someone for the first time and feel within moments whether they can be trusted or not, only to see later that your impression was correct. This is not coincidence, nor magic. It is the subtle voice of the subconscious, connecting to a broader field of information that most people ignore. The I Ching itself is founded on this principle. When a hexagram is cast, it is not a prediction pulled from thin air. It is the resonance of the moment, a mirror of unseen forces already at play. Intuition works in a similar way. It reads what lies beneath the surface. In Taoist terms, it is Xin Jing Zeming. When the heart is calm, clarity appears. A mind clouded with noise cannot hear the quiet voice of truth, but a tranquil mind, sensitive and clear, can perceive signals long before they manifest in form. Laozi described the Tao as Wu Sheng Ji Yin, Wu Xing Ji Xiang, the soundless sound, the shapeless image. Intuition is the ear tuned to that soundless sound. Some call it the sixth sense, but in reality it is not an extra sense. It is the original sense, buried beneath the distractions of daily life. Children often display it more naturally, before society fills their minds with endless chatter. Those with a destiny to fulfill often retain or regain this sensitivity. In Feng Shui, water is a symbol of intuition. A calm pond reflects the sky clearly, but if disturbed by ripples, the reflection shatters. So too the human heart. If you cultivate stillness, your inner water reflects truth, guiding your decisions. This guidance often surpasses logic. Logic works with fragments, intuition connects with the whole. Practical application of intuition is powerful. In family life, intuition allows you to sense the hidden feelings of loved ones before they speak, enabling you to respond with care. In business, it alerts you to opportunities and dangers invisible on spreadsheets. In health, it warns you of imbalance before symptoms become severe. In relationships, it reveals who is genuine and who carries hidden motives. Confucius once said, "At 70, I could follow my heart's desires without transgressing." This was not reckless indulgence, but perfected intuition, a heart so aligned with the Tao that instinct itself became correct. Those chosen by heaven are often nudged toward this path earlier, their inner compass sharpened by unseen hands. But there is a caution. Intuition must be cultivated, not exploited. To chase mystical feelings without discipline leads to delusion. The I Ching warns in Songhua, conflict, that unclear judgment brings danger. Intuition must be paired with humility and reflection. When balanced, it becomes a lantern in the fog, saving you from wrong turns. Therefore, if you possess strong intuition, do not dismiss it as imagination. Acknowledge it, practice listening, and let it serve as a guide at life's critical crossroads. It is not fantasy, but the Tao whispering through your heart. To ignore it is to lose a gift. To use it wisely is to walk in rhythm with heaven itself. A further mark of those with heaven's calling is an unquenchable thirst for knowledge and wisdom. From childhood, you may have asked endless questions. Why the sky is blue, why people suffer, what lies beyond death, what laws govern fortune and misfortune. While others were content with superficial answers, you sought depth, peeling layer after layer, unwilling to stop at appearances. This is not mere curiosity, it is the stirring of the Tao within. The I Ching reminds us in Gangua, Qian, the creative, that heaven's movement is ceaseless, urging us to cultivate ourselves daily. To thirst for wisdom is to align with this movement. Ordinary learning gathers facts. True wisdom penetrates essence. It asks not only what is, but also why is. This drive is not satisfied with memorizing rules. It seeks to grasp principle. Those chosen for greater purposes often carry this inner fire, a restlessness until truth is touched. Confucius once declared, "If in the morning I hear the way, in the evening I may die content." Such words show the weight of true knowledge. It is not information, it is liberation. Wisdom frees the heart from confusion, allowing one to live in harmony with heaven and earth. A soul destined for more feels this truth instinctively, longing for teachings that point beyond survival toward meaning. In Feng Shui imagery, this hunger resembles a spring that never runs dry. A household with living water remains fresh. A well that stagnates breeds decay. So too with the human mind. Constant inquiry keeps it alive, while blind acceptance makes it dull. The thirst for wisdom ensures continuous renewal. Karmically, this pursuit is also a sign of memory awakening. A spirit that has walked many lives carries echoes of past learnings. When such a soul encounters philosophy, history, cosmology, or metaphysics, it feels a resonance, as if remembering rather than discovering. This explains why some people, without formal training, grasp profound truths quickly. It is the seed sprouting again. Practical application is abundant. In family life, a seeker of wisdom raises children not just to pass exams, but to understand virtue. In relationships, they approach conflicts with reflection rather than impulse, creating deeper bonds. In career, their insight allows them to see hidden patterns, making them innovators rather than imitators. The thirst for wisdom becomes a source of stability, for it replaces blind reaction with thoughtful choice. Zhuangzi advised, "The fish trap exists for the fish. Once you have the fish, you forget the trap. The rabbit snare exists for the rabbit. Once you have the rabbit, you forget the snare. Words exist for meaning. Once you have meaning, you forget the words." The seeker of wisdom is not trapped by surface, but aims at essence. This mindset distinguishes those prepared for greater paths. Therefore, if you find yourself restless in pursuit of truth, do not suppress it. Feed it. Read deeply. Converse with the wise. Reflect upon your own life. Every question is a doorway. Every answer leads to a greater mystery. The thirst itself is evidence that your spirit has awakened, and the more you drink of wisdom, the clearer your mission becomes. For in knowing truth, you learn how to live it. Another characteristic often found in those who carry a hidden mission is the mysterious sensation of déjà vu, the uncanny feeling that one has been here before, met this person before, or learned this knowledge long ago. You may walk into a place for the first time yet feel a deep familiarity, as though the walls, the air, even the sound of footsteps echo from another life. You may meet someone new and instantly sense a connection that usually takes years to form. You may try a new skill and find it flows naturally, as if your hands remember before your mind learns. In the language of modern psychology, this is called déjà vu, but the wisdom of the East reads it more deeply. The I Ching teaches that time is not linear but cyclical, echoing and repeating in patterns. What you experience now may resonate with an imprint from the past. The Taoist teaching of reincarnation and karmic cycles suggests that the soul carries memory across lifetimes, though often hidden beneath the veil of forgetfulness. At certain moments, when conditions align, those memories flicker through, giving the sensation of familiarity. The fuguo, return, in the I Ching symbolizes cycles, the return of what once was. Life is not a straight road but a spiral, and the echoes of earlier turns remain imprinted. For souls sent with greater missions, these imprints may be stronger because they have walked important paths before. The sense of déjà vu is not accidental. It is the whisper of your spirit reminding you that your current road continues work begun long ago. Culturally, the Chinese saying Qian Shi Jin Sheng, past life and present life, reflects this belief. Whether one takes it literally or symbolically, the essence is that human experience stretches beyond a single lifetime. Those with deep déjà vu are often more sensitive to this continuity, as though their spirit resists complete forgetting. In Feng Shui terms, it is like a house built on ancient foundations. Even if renovated, traces of the old structure remain. Similarly, your soul carries the architecture of former lives. When you stand on familiar ground, something within recognizes it. When you meet a karmic connection, your spirit remembers the unfinished bond. Practically, this awareness serves a purpose. When you feel a strange pull toward a subject, it may be a sign that your soul is meant to cultivate it further. When you feel immediate resonance with a person, it may indicate karmic partnership, whether for support or for repayment. When you sense familiarity with a challenge, it may be that your spirit faced it before and now must resolve it completely. Zheng Guofan once wrote that destiny is not only shaped by effort but also by unseen karmic ties. Recognizing déjà vu moments allows one to act with greater mindfulness, asking, "What lesson does this echo carry? What task must I complete?" Instead of dismissing such feelings, a wise person reflects on their meaning. Therefore, if you often experience déjà vu, do not take it as mere illusion. See it as a reminder that your life is part of a larger continuity, that your mission may stretch across lifetimes. Each flash of familiarity is a lantern lighting your path, urging you to walk with awareness, to finish what was left undone, and to honor the echoes of your own soul's journey. Another trait of those destined for higher purposes is a natural fearlessness in the face of power and convention. When injustice arises, you feel compelled to speak, even if silence would protect you. When confronted with authority misused, you refuse to bow. This is not arrogance but an inner compass that refuses distortion. Your spirit carries what the ancients called Haoran Zheng Qi, vast and upright energy, a force that does not bend to convenience. The I Ching illustrates this quality in Gangua, Chan, the creative, where heaven moves with pure strength, unyielding yet balanced. To walk with destiny requires this uprightness. Without it, one would easily fall into compromise, serving self-interest rather than the greater good. The universe entrusts heavy tasks only to those who can remain straight amidst pressure. Mengzi spoke clearly. Fu gui buneng yin, pinjan buneng yi, wei wu buneng ku chi jiwei da jiang fu. Wealth cannot corrupt him. Poverty cannot move him. Power cannot bend him. This is the true great man. Such a standard demands immense inner strength. For those marked by heaven, this courage often appears early. Even as a child, you may have resisted unfairness. As an adult, you may have chosen loss over dishonor. Though this path invites conflict, it preserves integrity. In Feng Shui, a straight beam supports the entire roof. If the beam bends, the house collapses. Likewise, those with destiny must be the straight beam in their community or nation. Others may waver, but you must hold. This uprightness ensures that the structure above you does not fall. Karmically, this fearlessness is protection. When you act with justice, even against odds, heaven shields you. Wrongdoers may win temporarily, but cosmic law ensures that righteousness prevails. Standing firm attracts unseen allies and earns respect, even from those who oppose you outwardly. Practically, this quality manifests in family as fairness that children admire and emulate. In work, it creates trust, for colleagues know you cannot be bribed or deceived. In society, it establishes you as a voice of conscience, one who dares say what others suppress. Though this role is often lonely, it is indispensable. Zhuangzi described the true man as one who walks between heaven and earth without fear, for he knows his life belongs to the Tao. Such a person does not cling to life, nor dread death. Their focus remains on the rightness of action. This is the spirit carried by those chosen to bear responsibility. Therefore, if you feel compelled to resist injustice, even at cost, recognize it as a gift, not a burden. It is proof that your heart holds the clarity of heaven's law. While others yield to convenience, you remain unshaken. This unbending courage is the very quality that makes you fit to carry tasks larger than yourself. One of the clearest signs of a person marked by heaven is the quiet yet persistent sense of mission that burns within. It is not loud, nor always clear, but it never disappears. You may wake each day to ordinary tasks, yet in the background lingers the question, is this all I was meant to do? While others are satisfied to drift, you feel a pull towards something greater, though you may not yet see its form. This is the seed of destiny planted deep in the heart. The I Ching expresses this through Ming Yi Gua, Ming Yi, darkening of the light, where inner light is hidden but not extinguished. A mission begins this way, faint, concealed but persistent. It whispers when you are tired, it nudges when you are complacent, it rises again even when you try to ignore it. The Tao arranges that those with responsibility cannot rest in mediocrity. Their soul feels unease until it finds alignment with its true task. This mission is not always grand in appearance. It may not be leading nations or changing history. Sometimes it is guiding a family, teaching truth to a small circle, serving quietly in a profession, or healing one broken soul. Yet the inner sense insists, life must carry meaning, service, contribution. This insistence itself is evidence of destiny. Confucius said, Shibuke yibu hongyi, renjong dao yuan. The scholar cannot be without broad purpose and strong will, for the burden is heavy and the road long. Those chosen for mission feel this weight even when young. They may not know the road, but they feel the burden. It presses upon them until they move toward it. In Feng Shui imagery, the mission is like a lighthouse on a distant shore. Even when fog covers it, the light faintly reaches the traveler. You may lose direction, but the glow returns, reminding you of your true path. Some ignore it and live in distraction, but those chosen cannot escape it. To ignore the light is to live restless. To follow it is to live fulfilled. Karmically, this sense of mission is the echo of vows made before birth. Souls often descend into the world with promises to complete certain tasks. When the time ripens, the memory awakens as longing. This explains why some people shift careers suddenly, pursue unexpected studies, or sacrifice comfort for an unclear goal. They are aligning with that vow. Practically, a mission-driven person changes their family, for they raise children not just to succeed but to contribute. They change workplaces, for they seek purpose beyond salary. They change communities, for they plant seeds of kindness and justice. Their life becomes a compass for others, even if they never intend it. Therefore, if you feel a persistent inner calling, treasure it. Do not drown it in noise or numb it with distraction. Sit with it, reflect. It may take years to clarify, but it will not leave. It is the Tao's signature within your heart. To honor it is to walk the road heaven intended. To betray it is to live restless, no matter the comfort achieved. The mission is not an option. It is your true name waiting to be spoken. Those who carry extraordinary traits often wonder why their lives feel heavier than others. The answer lies in responsibility. Every gift from heaven carries weight. Intuition, compassion, resilience, courage. These are not ornaments but instruments. If they remain unused, they rust. If they are used selfishly, they backfire. But if they serve a higher purpose, they become channels through which heaven works. The I Ching in Dayu Gua, Dayu Great Possession, reminds us that holding abundance is dangerous unless directed with virtue. Great energy without great responsibility brings ruin. Many desire talent, wealth, or influence, but they forget that energy attracts equal tests. A strong fire can cook food or burn a house. A sharp blade can protect or harm. Those chosen by destiny stand at this threshold constantly, how to use what they have. Heaven does not test through comfort but through choice. That is why those with stronger qualities often face more temptations and trials, for the Tao measures whether they can bear the burden. Confucius said, De bu pei wei, bi yu zai yang. When virtue does not match position, disaster follows. The same applies to gifts. If your moral foundation is shallow but your energy is high, the imbalance destroys you. History shows countless examples of brilliant minds who fell because they lacked virtue. Talent lifted them, but arrogance ruined them. By contrast, those with virtue, even if slow to rise, endure and stabilize, carrying their gifts to completion. In Feng Shui, a tall building requires a deep foundation. If the foundation is weak, the taller the structure, the faster it collapses. Likewise, the more abilities you carry, the deeper your character must be. Responsibility is the foundation. Without it, every success becomes a hidden trap. Karmically, this balance is strict. The universe does not allow energy without accountability. If you use your gifts to help, blessings multiply. If you use them to harm, the debt returns multiplied. Thus, heaven grants compassion so you may uplift, not manipulate. It grants intuition so you may guide, not exploit. It grants mission so you may serve, not glorify yourself. Responsibility is not optional. It is woven into the very fabric of these gifts. Practically, Those aware of this weight live carefully. In family, they guard their words, for influence shapes children deeply. In work, they avoid shortcuts, knowing dishonesty poisons long-term trust. In society, they resist arrogance, remembering that gifts are not theirs alone but entrusted by heaven. The awareness of responsibility becomes their shield, keeping them humble and cautious. Zheng Guofan often reminded his students that the greater one's capacity, the greater one's restraint must be. A man of gifts without restraint is more dangerous than a fool because his mistakes ripple wider. To bear responsibility is therefore not to restrict life, but to channel it, as a riverbank channels a flood into fertile irrigation instead of destruction. Therefore, if you sense your life carries heavier burdens, do not resent it. Accept it as confirmation of your role. The weight is not punishment, it is trust. Heaven does not place great responsibility on those it doubts. Your strength, tested through hardship, proven through endurance, is meant to hold more. Responsibility is the seal of destiny, the measure of whether you truly carry heaven's favor. Those who carry extraordinary traits often wonder why their lives feel heavier than others. The answer lies in responsibility. Every gift from heaven carries weight. Intuition, compassion, resilience, courage, these are not ornaments but instruments. If they remain unused, they rust. If they are used selfishly, they backfire. But if they serve a higher purpose, they become channels through which heaven works. The I Ching in Da Yu Gua, Da Yu, great possession, reminds us that holding abundance is dangerous unless directed with virtue. Great energy without great responsibility brings ruin. Many desire talent, wealth, or influence, but they forget that energy attracts equal tests. A strong fire can cook food or burn a house. A sharp blade can protect or harm. Those chosen by destiny stand at this threshold constantly, how to use what they have. Heaven does not test through comfort, but through choice. That is why those with stronger qualities often face more temptations and trials, for the Tao measures whether they can bear the burden. Confucius said, "Debu pei wei, bi yu zai yang." When virtue does not match position, disaster follows. The same applies to gifts. If your moral foundation is shallow but your energy is high, the imbalance destroys you. History shows countless examples of brilliant minds who fell because they lacked virtue. Talent lifted them, but arrogance ruined them. By contrast, those with virtue, even if slow to rise, endure and stabilize, carrying their gifts to completion. In Feng Shui, a tall building requires a deep foundation. If the foundation is weak, the taller the structure, the faster it collapses. Likewise, the more abilities you carry, the deeper your character must be. Responsibility is the foundation. Without it, every success becomes a hidden trap. Karmically, this balance is strict. The universe does not allow energy without accountability. If you use your gifts to help, blessings multiply. If you use them to harm, the debt returns multiplied. Thus, heaven grants compassion so you may uplift, not manipulate. It grants intuition so you may guide, not exploit. It grants mission so you may serve, not glorify yourself. Responsibility is not optional. It is woven into the very fabric of these gifts. Practically, those aware of this weight live carefully. In family, they guard their words, for influence shapes children deeply. In work, they avoid shortcuts, knowing dishonesty poisons long-term trust. In society, they resist arrogance, remembering that gifts are not theirs alone but entrusted by heaven. The awareness of responsibility becomes their shield, keeping them humble and cautious. Zheng Guofan often reminded his students that the greater one's capacity, the greater one's restraint must be. A man of gifts without restraint is more dangerous than a fool, because his mistakes ripple wider. To bear responsibility is therefore not to restrict life, but to channel it, as a riverbank channels a flood into fertile irrigation instead of destruction. Therefore, if you sense your life carries heavier burdens, do not resent it. Accept it as confirmation of your role. The weight is not punishment, it is trust. Heaven does not place great responsibility on those it doubts. Your strength, tested through hardship, proven through endurance, is meant to hold more. Responsibility is the seal of destiny, the measure of whether you truly carry heaven's favor. When heaven plants hardship into your childhood and gives you traits uncommon among your peers, it is not simply for you to bear silently. The deeper purpose is transformation. What you have endured becomes the medicine you later offer to others. Pain becomes wisdom. Struggle becomes guidance. Your personal wounds, when understood, turn into a lamp for those still walking through darkness. This is why the I Ching in Jiegua, Zhe, deliverance, teaches that after difficulty comes relief, and that relief is not only for oneself but must be shared with others. Think of a person who survived extreme poverty. Later in life, they can speak with real authority to those still trapped in lack, not from theory but from lived experience. A child who grew up in conflict between parents may, as an adult, become a source of harmony in their own family, knowing the taste of disharmony too well to repeat it. One who fought illness early on may grow to cherish health and even inspire others to take care of their bodies. Every difficulty carries within it the seed of later service. Confucius said, "The wise are not confused, the benevolent are not worried, the courageous are not afraid." These three qualities, wisdom, compassion, courage, are often birthed from suffering. Those who never suffered rarely achieve deep wisdom. Those who never felt pain rarely cultivate true compassion. Those who never faced fear cannot be truly courageous. Thus, your trials are not wasted. They refine the qualities that will make your presence healing to others. In Feng Shui, a house that has endured storms may bear scars, yet those scars prove its strength. Guests entering such a house feel security because they sense it has withstood time. Similarly, when people come near you, your resilience communicates silently. I understand suffering, and I survived. That presence itself becomes a source of comfort. Karmically, transforming pain into guidance fulfills cosmic law. To suffer and remain bitter is to waste the lesson. To suffer and then use that suffering to lift others is to complete the cycle of karma, turning negative into positive. The Tao does not demand that you erase your scars, but that you sanctify them by using them to help others heal. Practically, this transformation can be simple. Sharing your story with a struggling friend, guiding a child through hardship with patience you learned from your own trials, choosing forgiveness instead of resentment so that your family inherits peace instead of bitterness. Even in business, using your past failures to mentor those who are just beginning prevents them from repeating your mistakes. Zhuangzi spoke of the useless tree that survives precisely because it was not cut down for timber. Its apparent flaw becomes its longevity. In the same way, your hardships, your seeming disadvantages, become the very qualities that sustain you and allow you to nurture others. Therefore, never despise your pain. Do not hide your scars as shame. They are the proof of your training, the credentials of your soul. Every tear you once shed is a gift you can now give as understanding. Every fall you once endured is a hand you can now extend to lift someone else. This is the alchemy of destiny, turning your suffering into another's salvation. A destiny-bearing person does not only influence society at large, but also reshapes the very foundation of family and fortune. The I Ching teaches through Jiaren Gua, Jiaren, the family, that order within the household mirrors order within the world. Those entrusted with gifts from heaven must first cultivate harmony at home, for a family rooted in virtue naturally becomes the wellspring of prosperity. Wealth without virtue scatters, virtue without wealth sustains. But when virtue and wealth combine, generations flourish. If you endured poverty, conflict, or instability in youth, your mission may be to break that cycle. By choosing compassion over anger, wisdom over ignorance, and fairness over bias, you become the turning point where ancestral burdens transform into blessings. This is why many with heavy destinies feel unusual responsibility toward their parents, children, or siblings. The Tao arranges for them to carry the torch that clears old karmic debts and plants new seeds of fortune. Confucius emphasized filial piety not as blind obedience, but as the root of all virtue. To honor parents, to care for children, to maintain harmony between spouses. These are not small domestic tasks, but sacred duties. A house that cultivates respect and kindness becomes aligned with cosmic law, attracting unseen protection. In contrast, families filled with resentment and discord bleed energy, no matter how much money they accumulate. Feng Shui also reflects this truth. A home filled with quarrels, even if beautifully decorated, breeds sickness and decline. A humble dwelling filled with laughter and sincerity invites prosperity like a flowing stream. The placement of furniture matters less than the placement of hearts. Harmony is the strongest talisman. Practically, a person of destiny must guard speech within the household. Words spoken in anger plant bitterness in children. Unfairness between siblings creates long shadows. Neglect of elders poisons fortune. On the other hand, simple acts, sharing meals, showing gratitude, teaching kindness, multiply blessings. A compassionate parent raises children with empathy. A wise spouse builds a foundation of trust. A fair leader within the family creates stability that naturally attracts external wealth. Zheng Guofan observed that family decline usually begins not with poverty, but with arrogance, indulgence, and neglect of virtue. Conversely, family rise begins not with sudden fortune, but with diligence, humility, and harmony. Those marked by destiny understand this instinctively, feeling compelled to maintain balance at home even while pursuing goals outside. Therefore, if you feel unusually concerned with family well-being, do not dismiss it as sentimentality. Recognize it as part of your mission. To nurture your household with virtue is to build the very ground from which all other endeavors draw strength. Wealth without harmony soon fades, but harmony itself is wealth that endures across generations. To carry destiny is to begin at home, cultivating order, love, and respect, thereby aligning personal fortune with the eternal rhythms of heaven and earth. With great energy comes not only responsibility, but also heightened tests. Those who carry unusual gifts will inevitably face sharper temptations, stronger desires, and heavier trials. This is no accident. It is heaven's way of ensuring that energy is refined, rather than misused. The I Ching, in Kangua, Kan, the abysmal, warns that danger is the constant companion of deep water. To carry powerful traits without inner discipline is to walk beside a river without awareness. You may drink from it, or you may drown in it. The temptations appear in many forms. Some are external, wealth gained too quickly, power offered without merit, flattery that feeds arrogance, relationships that cloud judgment. Others are internal, pride in one's intuition, complacency in one's virtue, desire to display special gifts for recognition. Each is a trap. Those marked by destiny are tested more severely because their fall carries wider consequences. If they stray, their energy magnifies harm not only to themselves, but also to those around them. Confucius cautioned that without humility, learning turns into arrogance, and without restraint, courage turns into recklessness. The stronger the trait, the more dangerous its shadow. Compassion, if unbalanced, becomes weakness that others exploit. Intuition, if unchecked, becomes paranoia or fantasy. Mission, if tainted by ego, becomes tyranny. The challenge is to walk the middle way, allowing gifts to serve rather than dominate. In Feng Shui, a house with wide windows welcomes light, but without strong frames, storms will shatter the glass. Likewise, a person with openness must also cultivate structure. Daily practices, reflection, study, discipline, become the framework that holds the soul steady. Without them, even great gifts collapse under pressure. Karmically, temptations serve as refining fires. Just as gold is tested by fire to remove impurities, so too are souls tested by desire and challenge. Failing a test is not the end, but refusing to learn from it creates debt. Passing a test deepens virtue and stabilizes energy. The greater the destiny, the more such tests will come, for heaven ensures that the vessel is strong enough to hold the mission. Practically, this means vigilance in daily life. Guard your speech against arrogance. Guard your heart against resentment. Guard your actions against greed. In family, do not allow ambition to overshadow love. In career, do not allow success to blind you to integrity. In relationships, do not allow charm or passion to distract from purpose. Every choice becomes magnified for those with destiny. Small missteps can ripple into great consequences. Zheng Guofan often spoke of Shu Shenwei Ben, self-cultivation, as the foundation. He knew that no matter how many battles one wins, the greatest enemy is within. To govern oneself is harder than to govern a nation, yet without it, nothing endures. Those with heaven's gifts must be twice as strict with themselves, for their influence reaches further. Therefore, do not be surprised when your life seems filled with greater trials than others. Do not think heaven is unfair, it is proof of trust. The Tao refines those it intends to use. Each temptation resisted, each hardship endured, strengthens the vessel. To remain vigilant is to preserve your destiny. To lose vigilance is to waste it. Destiny can also be understood through the metaphors of Feng Shui, for the language of land and form reflects the language of human fate. Consider the roots of a tree. A tree that spreads shallow roots may appear lush for a season, yet the first storm topples it. A tree that sinks deep roots into earth endures decades of wind and drought. In the same way, those chosen by heaven must root themselves in virtue, not appearances. Virtue is the hidden foundation. Without it, no gift can stand long. The I Ching in Zhen Gua, Zhen, keeping still, mountain, portrays the mountain, unmoving, solid, firm. It teaches that stillness is not stagnation but strength. A mountain shapes the wind, redirects rivers, provides shelter. Likewise, a person of destiny must embody this mountain quality, calm, upright, unshaken. The storms of life may rage, but those with inner solidity serve as anchors for others. Wind itself is another metaphor. The Shun Gua, Shun the gentle wind, shows that wind penetrates everywhere, unseen yet powerful. Intuition, compassion and wisdom work like the wind, silent, invisible, yet capable of reshaping landscapes. Those chosen do not always lead through force. Often their influence is subtle, like wind through bamboo, bending but not breaking, whispering but shaping. Water too speaks. Kangua, Kan the abysmal water, reminds us that water flows downward, always seeking the lowest place. It humbles itself, yet nourishes all. Laozi praised water as the highest goodness because it benefits all without contention. So must those with destiny learn to flow around obstacles, to descend where others refuse, to carry blessings quietly. The mission is not prideful display, but humble service. Even fire has its place. Qigua, Li, clinging fire illuminates darkness, but fire must be controlled. A lamp lights a room, a wildfire destroys a forest. The gifted person's passion, vision, or charisma is fire. Used rightly, it guides and warms. Uncontrolled, it consumes. The Tao demands balance. Mountain for steadiness, wind for subtlety, water for humility, fire for illumination. Only when all are harmonized can a person's destiny mature. Practically, Feng Shui reminds us that environment mirrors inner state. A cluttered, chaotic home reflects and creates a scattered mind. A clean, balanced space nurtures clarity. Thus, those with destiny must also manage their surroundings with care. Place of rest, place of work. Even the orientation of the home can influence energy. Aligning outer space with inner purpose makes one's mission smoother. Karmically, these metaphors remind us that human life is part of the same natural patterns. We are not separate from mountains, winds, waters, or fires. To walk in destiny is to align with these elements, not fight them. When your roots are deep like the mountain, your influence spreads like the wind, your heart flows like water, and your light shines like fire, then heaven's purpose flows through you without obstruction. Therefore, do not see Feng Shui as superstition. See it as symbolic teaching. Look at your own life. Are your roots deep or shallow? Is your influence harsh or gentle? Does your heart serve like water? Does your passion illuminate or destroy? In answering, you know whether you are aligned with destiny or straying from it. The journey of those chosen cannot be separated from the guidance of ancient sages, for their words remain like stars that orient travelers across dark skies. Confucius emphasized the cultivation of virtue as the root of all human action. He taught that without benevolence, knowledge turns cold. Without righteousness, courage becomes cruelty. His reminder is clear. Gifts without virtue are incomplete. To walk with destiny is to let benevolence and righteousness become the frame through which all talents are expressed. Laozi spoke of the Tao as the nameless source, the flow that nourishes all without striving. He said, "He who knows contentment is rich." For those marked by heaven, this wisdom prevents arrogance. A person with mission must remember humility, like water flowing to the lowest places. To resist pride is to remain open to the Tao. The more one yields, the more one receives. This is why Laozi's teaching of softness overcoming hardness endures. It reminds the strong to temper themselves, to become unbreakable by becoming flexible. Zhuangzi, with his tales of transformation, urged people to see beyond narrow judgment. He described the useless tree that survived because no carpenter desired it, showing that what seems worthless may carry hidden destiny. For those with mission, this teaches not to despise their peculiarities, scars, or differences. The very qualities society overlooks may be the roots of their purpose. Zhuangzi's vision frees the chosen from comparison, allowing them to walk their unique path without shame. Zheng Guofan, a man who rose from failure to lead armies and preserve a dynasty, constantly warned against pride and indulgence. His maxim, Xiu Shenqi Jia Ji Guo Ping Tianxia, cultivate self, order family, govern state, bring peace to the world, mirrors the I Ching's emphasis on balance. To him, personal discipline was the foundation of all achievement. For the gifted, this teaching is critical. Without self-mastery, no mission can endure. His life proved that destiny is fulfilled not in sudden triumph, but in daily restraint and perseverance. Xi Ping, master of fate calculation, revealed how destiny is not fixed but shaped by virtue and action. Even if one is born with auspicious charts, lack of morality destroys potential. Conversely, one with poor fate may rise through diligence and virtue. This harmonizes with the I Ching's principle that fortune and misfortune are not external accidents, but the unfolding of inner alignment. For those chosen, Xi Ping's wisdom is a reminder. Gifts open doors, but character determines whether one can walk through them safely. Together, these voices form a chorus across centuries. Confucius anchors with virtue, Laozi softens with humility, Zhuangzi liberates with freedom, Zheng Guofan disciplines with perseverance, Xi Ping balances with responsibility. Their teachings are not distant relics but living tools. To those carrying heaven's mission, they are daily companions, correcting arrogance, comforting loneliness, refining vision, and steadying the hand against temptation. Practical application is simple yet profound. When confused, read Confucius and measure your actions by virtue. When restless, read Laozi and return to humility. When ashamed of difference, read Zhuangzi and accept your uniqueness. When tempted by indulgence, read Zheng Guofan and discipline yourself. When uncertain about destiny, read Xi Ping and remember that action shapes fate. In this way, the wisdom of the ancients becomes the map for modern travelers. Therefore, to walk the path of destiny is never to walk alone. You carry not only your own strength but the inheritance of sages. Their words are like the trigrams of the I Ching, symbols of heaven's order, always ready to guide. To forget them is to wander. To remember them is to walk in rhythm with eternity. When all traits, trials, and teachings converge, the true path of the chosen soul is revealed, not as glory for oneself, but as service to the Tao and to humanity. The I Ching reminds us in Tongren Gua, Tongren, fellowship with men, that great strength achieves fulfillment only when directed toward unity and contribution. To recognize your gifts is only the first step. To refine them through hardship is the second. The final step is to apply them humbly for the benefit of others. Destiny does not require dramatic heroism. It does not demand that you lead nations or change history with thunderous deeds. It asks that you live in alignment with your mission, whether in the small circle of family, the middle circle of community, or the wide circle of society. To raise children with wisdom is destiny. To heal one suffering person is destiny. To plant seeds of kindness in daily life is destiny. Every act aligned with the Tao, no matter how ordinary it seems, fulfills heaven's trust. Confucius reminded us, at 70, I could follow what my heart desired without overstepping bounds. This is the culmination of self-cultivation, when one's natural impulses have been so refined by virtue that to act is to act rightly. The chosen must aim for this state, where their gifts flow naturally as service, without calculation, without pride, simply as expression of what they are. In Feng Shui, the ideal dwelling is not the grandest, but the one most harmonized with its environment. A small cottage aligned with mountain and stream sustains life better than a palace built against natural flow. Similarly, your mission does not need grand scale, only harmony. When your actions resonate with heaven's rhythm, even small deeds echo across generations. Karmically, to complete one's mission is to close a cycle. The soul returns lighter, freed from debts, carrying forward only wisdom. To betray one's mission, by contrast, is to leave knots that return in future lives. Thus, humility and sincerity are not moral ornaments but survival tools for the soul. Zheng Guofan's warning, Debu Pei Wei, Bi Yu Zai Yang, if virtue does not match position, disaster follows, is not limited to earthly consequences but applies to the soul's eternal journey. Practically, this means daily vigilance. Speak with kindness, even when unprovoked. Act with fairness, even when unseen. Use intuition to guide, not to manipulate. Use compassion to heal, not to indulge. Use courage to uphold justice, not to fight for ego. Use wisdom to enlighten, not to boast. In these choices, the mission fulfills itself silently. Therefore, walking the path of destiny requires two constant companions, humility and strength. Humility to remember that gifts are not yours but entrusted. Strength to carry responsibility without complaint. With these, you become like a mountain that shelters, a river that nourishes, a fire that warms, and a wind that refreshes. This is the synthesis of the chosen. To live not for oneself alone, but as a vessel through which heaven's energy blesses the world. And when life nears its close, such a person does not fear. They know they have walked their mission with sincerity. They have carried the weight and transformed it into light. They have lived not as a wandering spark, but as part of the great rhythm of Tao. This is the true meaning of being chosen, not privilege but service, not glory but harmony.